So every market, I think, has its ups and downs,
Mhm.
right? What are your thoughts on the '08 crash? When you were in school, did you study anything about that or
I
with
honestly,
real estate?
we didn't, but I wish we did, because I think the more someone learns, and it just goes to where American education is. Like, it isn't in the things that actually make us money. It's in everything around money, but not actually money. And had we have learned about the real estate market, we would have actually been better designers, because a lot of our teachers after we graduated, they're like, there are no jobs for you guys. Go get another degree, stay in school a little longer, maybe look for something
And
on
what
the
year was
side.
that? What year did you
I
graduate?
graduated, so I graduated with well, I didn't technically get a bachelor's. I skipped it to go to my master's, but that was in 2008 is when I would have gotten my bachelor's degree.
Hmm.
So right when we were getting out is when the crash had happened.
Right.
I stayed in school for 2 more years and I got my master's degree. And that master's degree, which at the time I thought is what I needed to become an architect, lo and behold, at like our last year of school, our teachers were like, "No, you could have just used your bachelor's." And I'm like, "Why am I here? Like, I just waste all this time for this fancy piece of paper." But I was at least grateful because I went for the harder degree as opposed to getting
Right.
something that. So it
And
was
it's
to
a
my
lesson,
benefit. It
right?
was. It was another lesson. And I also think it helped me push off looking for a job, because at that time, 2008, there was nothing. But by the time 2010 came around, there
It was
was
starting to
it was
recover.
starting to cover a little bit, but it was
Hmm.
still very difficult
Right.
unless you were like really in the field.
Right.
So what I did is I just started to apply all over the world. I applied Beijing. I applied in literally everywhere. I applied in Paris. I applied. I can't even tell you how many countries I applied to. I think it was about, in total, my applications were about 300 applications at that time.
And I believe in that. You know what?
Mhm.
Because people are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna be strategic." I'm like, you send your resume to Tom, Dick, and Harry. When
Mhm.
the offers start coming in, then you can be
Exactly.
strategic.
And that was my thought process. I was like, because all my friends came back and said the same thing. They're like, we can't find anything. Like, okay, you applied to 6 people.
Yes.
But I'm gonna cast a huge net,
Net. Yep.
a giant net.
I'll make my decision when I get the offer.
There you go. And then when I brought that net in, only like 6 people responded. So then I was like, okay, there's clearly nothing out here, which is when I actually left the U.S. and I moved to Holland to look for a new job out there and start like a new life, new degree, everything. It was a really short stint, but it was still something that I used to then apply to what I do
Right.
today. So.
Right. And so going back to the real estate crash,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, I didn't think that the market was going to be that bad, right? Because I didn't realize that we had mortgage-backed securities.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, do you know
Yes, I know about more mortgage-backed securities now because I'm in real estate.
you're
But
in
at
real
that
estate?
time, I didn't have a clue what it was or
Yes.
what it meant.
I didn't realize that we were packaging these bad mortgages
Mm-hmm.
and reselling them as investments, right? So we were scamming, we were being scammed
Yeah.
basically. So I understood. What did I understand? Because I bought my house that I used to live in then in 2003.
Okay.
So we were moving to Florida. So the market when I bought my house was just starting to go up,
Yep.
right? Between 2003 and 2005, my house price doubled, right? And a lot of people sold and they did whatever. And then people were so greedy. They started buying five, six, seven houses. They refinanced. They did all these things. They bought interest only
With
mortgages.
a IOU piece of paper,
Yeah. And it was like,
no financials.
all right,
Yeah.
what's happening here? And people like, you know how much you could take out of your house, you could do this, you could do that. I'm like, all right, I don't know about this. Like, I'm not, whatever. I'm not, because I think that when you get a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, right? At a certain point, and if you intend to live in that, if it's your house, your home investment, that's gonna be the hardest time in your life because that 30-year mortgage is some if it you should it your life should get easier, right? So in 30 years the payment that you're paying now, because you're going to be making more money later and you're going to whatever, if you can sacrifice and do that at that moment, then you shouldn't be foreclosing 20 years later,
Mm-hmm.
because 20 years later you should be in a better position than you are on year one. So if you are not getting an interest only loan or you're not doing some baloney crap stuff, then there's no reason for your house to be foreclosed on, especially if you are, um, being conservative, saving your money, whatever it is, like you're building your life.
Yeah.
So if you're building, right, so you're building safety nets while you're building. So
If you're responsible, you're building safety nets.